Nothing that we say is investment advice. Please pause on all 3 pages of this disclaimer and read it.
Okay, back. I had planned to actually just kind of go straight into this from the prior show, but unfortunately I had an issue with the cameras, but it appears that we are back. Let me just go ahead and double check, make sure everything is where it needs to be. Give me 1 second. It does look like I do need to fix the camera, but that's okay. Kind of watching for it right now, so I shouldn't really have any of those further issues. Give me a second here. Not that one, not that one. This one here. And there we go. Good. All right. We are on the proper screen. This is the live lab. It is Tuesday, effectively a Monday. Remember, we had a short weekend and we were just talking about how the USDJPY did a major reversal. Now, here's the big question on the USDJPY. This is going to have to do with Bitcoin and NASDAQ. These are all related because everything is all interrelated in this game. So let me, first of all, if you are watching on YouTube, go ahead, do the like, subscribe, all that BS. And if you have any questions, like comments, if you want to see a particular chart, just go ahead and ask in the comment section. And I can see if I can accommodate that. In the meantime, the USDJPY is at a resistance right now, right? So the question is whether or not this is going to continue up or if we're going to have an opportunity either to grab a short right here or to grab a continuation long, or perhaps if it just kind of goes sideways a bit and we have a chance to scalp on the lower time frame, top and bottom of a range until it makes a decision. And those are pretty much all the choices. That's just how it goes. Now, the range might not last as long, and there's some variations in between, but that's really literally everything that can happen and how I would take advantage of it. And so now it just remains to see what happens. Now, if I were to take a look at the algos, I would say it's probably going to go up. It's been going down for so long. If I jump to the daily chart right here, it really has extended down for a very long time. And there's been a lot of news about the Japanese bond market, so on and so forth. But in reality, as we talked about earlier, I think this has to do more with dollar strength than Japanese yen weakness, right? So this moving down over the past few weeks or week or two, that's all been to do, very much to do with Japanese yen strength and dollar weakness at the same time. But the dollar popped up as we talked about earlier. The dollar is showing a little bit of strength here, so that's going to feed into the rest of it. But if I were to make a plan on this, just based on what the algos are saying, I might look for something like this. I would want, before I were to go long, I'd want to see price break above this area, right? Because you have, let's delete those. You have a few points of resistance and price could easily kind of temporarily reject, but you can see here and here and here, right? Where price is going to want to possibly come back down, but instead, what it may do, like I was saying earlier, is kind of slowly grind upwards. Maybe the scalpers can get some little longs in there. And as it grinds upwards, it may break above, and then we get a nice long right there. And that would be like more of a swing trade long. Now, let's take a brief look really quickly at the calendar to make sure there are no events in the way of such a trade. There is some Aussie and New Zealand news later today. I went over this on the Sunday show. Now, tomorrow at noon, which is 2 p.m. EST, noon my time, FOMC minutes. So I think I'm just imagining it's going to be quiet. And then Thursday might be pretty quiet for trading European markets because the French and the Germans have a holiday and the Swiss also the day before. So it might be kind of a quiet week for some currencies, but I think the USD and the JPY might be where the action is, which is where it's been for the last few weeks anyway. And then Thursday, there's always the unemployment at 8:30 a.m. EST, along with the GDP this month. There's a quarter-over-quarter GDP. So Thursday morning might have some nice volatility leading into the market open. Some British news there at about 3 p.m. EST, which is pretty much when I'm not trading because the forex markets are closing and everything's closed. This is not that important unless you're trading the pound. Even then, most of the forex market is kind of clicking over to the next open there. Now, Friday is also tricky for the European market because the German CPI, it's the preliminary CPI, comes out, and they don't tell you when it's going to be. This is all day. And Fridays are a day I generally don't trade anyway, but there might be some volatility. So I might look to trade outside of the euro. Maybe, again, USDJPY on Friday after core PCE price index comes out, 8:30 a.m. EST. And that's a big deal. The US PCE is an inflation metric. A lot of eyes will be on that. So Thursday and Friday, probably some decent volatility into the open, avoiding the European pairs. So kind of like USDJPY or, maybe some like AUD something like that. So that being the case, in the whole USDJPY plan, I don't see any major hiccups there. I don't see anything getting in the way. Of course, Trump could, have some news as he tends to do, surprise us with a little announcement or something like that. So that said, let's take a look at Bitcoin first. We'll go into NASDAQ. Bitcoin, this is on the 30-minute chart. So let me zoom out a little bit and we'll take a look at that. As I said before, I think this is going to continue to slowly grind up. You might have moments where it kind of pulls back and then, it kind of slowly grinds, pull back like this, and then slowly grinding up. But I think eventually, probably sooner than what I just drew on this chart, like way sooner, it's probably going to break out. In fact, if I were really to estimate how quickly it'd break out, I think probably like this. Given that this remains strong, and I think it will, your top here was at about 112,000. So a breakout to 120,000, 140,000, those are reasonable targets. We talked about that before, right? So if I were to try to determine what that target is, I would just use some Fibonacci tools. So where might Bitcoin go? And this, what I'm talking about, could take like weeks and months or days. Bitcoin's pretty crazy. But I would take a look at using a Fibonacci tool here. Yeah, 125, 145. That's using a high time frame impulse. If I were to kind of zoom in a little bit and get a little more precise with that, with a cleaner impulse, it's more like 123 or 143. Right. So basically 120s to 140s. Those are the next two areas I look at for Bitcoin to go to. Doesn't mean it's going to happen, but from what I'm reading, we're not at a point where there's exit liquidity just yet. The only thing I'm concerned about is when I look in the news, I'm seeing a lot of headlines like Bank of America says buy Bitcoin, and all these big like names, all the huge names now are saying, I'm going to buy Bitcoin. And that does reek of top signal when you have very large names saying, I'm buying Bitcoin and you should buy it too. Yeah, that tends to be toppy. It's a little toppy. And we're at the time when that can be. And we talked about this. We've gone over it in the past. But basically, if you take a look at all of the past Bitcoin cycle tops, the Gorilla is here, by the way.
Hello. Hey, good morning, guys.
Let me fix my volume. All right, now that you're on, I got to fix the cameras and stuff. Give me just a second.
I want you to stay where you are, man. It looks good. You don't have to take yourself out of the frame. Leave it.
Well, I do actually.
Oh, you do? Oh.
So I'll explain it to you later. Let's do it like this. Is there a way to do this? You know what I'll do? I'll do it like this. There we go. I'll keep myself in there for now. So what we're looking at here, and V, say something so nobody can hear you.
My check.
Oh my God, I love that voice.
Yes.
I miss you. That's so gay.
Gay?
All right. So what I would do is just looking at past cycles, the most likely time. And again, this is only based on 4 data points, 4 halvings. Like, this is not a lot of data, guys. But going back into the past, Q4 November is most likely kind of the general time when we might be seeing the Bitcoin top. It could happen way sooner, could happen way later. And Bitcoin is changing drastically. But if you think this is the first cycle where the institutional money has gotten in, I do have a couple of bridges to sell you. Yeah, because they've been in for a minute. But I do, there's always that possibility we're in a new paradigm and Bitcoin goes $2 million and all that. But just seeing what I've seen in the past, I would not bet on that. I would bet on maybe, 140, 120,000 unless we really get some kind of very big event that changes everything, like Bitcoin's the new world reserve or something along those lines. Now, V, I know you do have some data on things like that, and that's more of a private live lab type thing, which we are about to flip over to the private live lab. So is there anything you want to talk to the general YouTube audience about before we do that flip over?
No. I suggest one of the things I'll always say to the general audience: listen, you need to be on the inside. Okay, you could either look at the outside and wonder what's going to happen next, or you join the inside and get really good hard-hitting data. And when I say really good hard-hitting data, the data that I'm feeding you guys is data on an institutional level. There's nobody anywhere in this space that's going to give you the technicals that Cowboy's giving you or the inside data that I'm going to be feeding you. There's nobody doing that. Reason being is, unlike other schmoes in the industry, I actually work in the area that I talk about. I actually work in the area that I speak about. So when you're getting data from us, you're going to get the best possible data. And there are people that are part of the subscription. They're paying $100 a month. Why? Why are they paying $100 a month? They're paying $100 a month because they want the data. They want the data. And there's others who also, want to learn how to trade and want to learn how to execute all these things, and that's awesome. But the ones that really want that data, because that data is invaluable. Why? Because the data that I give out is utilized by hedge funds, is utilized by family offices, is utilized by various investment firms. Okay, and it's solid. I've been on the money so many times when it comes to the Bitcoin market. And if you want to know what's going to happen next, then join. Otherwise, you're going to be blown about by all these wins and so-called experts that you see on YouTube. All right, Cowboy.
Yeah, there's a link in the description. If you go to that, you'll get a free algo. Just go in there and click on the link, give your email, give a name. I don't care if it's a fake name, whatever. You'll get an email and you'll get access to like our website. Come on in, join. V the Gorilla, get us out of here, sir.
Yeah, with that being said, guys, listen, join us on the other side and be a part of an amazing community. Cowboy, take it away.